You have tried the breathing exercises. You have sat on the couch across from a doctor and poured out your soul. Maybe you take the little pill every morning, hoping today is the day the fog finally lifts, but it doesn't. You still wake up with that crushing weight on your chest. You still stare at the ceiling at 3 in the morning and wonder why it feels like God has gone completely silent. I know that dark room. I know what it's like to do everything the world tells you to do for your mind and still feel entirely empty. We are told to seek help, and you absolutely should. Therapy is a gift. Doctors are a grace. But what happens when human tools hit their limit? What happens when you realize the pain isn't just chemical, but deeply spiritual? There is a deeper well. When the coping mechanisms fail, there is a rescue mission for your soul. It's a raw, beautiful truth hidden in 1 Kings chapter 19. It starts with a man who was so exhausted, so deeply depressed, that he walked into the wilderness and asked God to take his life. He wanted to die, and how God responds to him changes everything. Elijah was fresh off the greatest spiritual high of his life. Fire had literally fallen from heaven in 1 Kings chapter 18. But by chapter 19, he is running for his life in sheer terror. A single threat from a wicked queen broke him completely. Notice what he does next. He leaves his servant behind. He walks a full day's journey deep into the barren desert. He collapses under a solitary broom tree. Depression loves isolation. When the darkness hits, your first instinct is to push everyone away. You lock the bedroom door. You ignore the text messages. You convince yourself that nobody understands and you are utterly alone. Elijah felt exactly that. And under that tree, he prays a prayer of absolute despair. He says, "It is enough. Now, O Lord, take my life, for I am no better than my fathers." He wanted it all to end. Have you been there? Where the sheer effort of existing feels like dragging a boulder up a hill. You just want to close your eyes. You just want the noise in your head to stop. Elijah was a mighty prophet of God, yet his mind was fractured by panic and severe burnout. And this is where we see the profound, breathtaking gentleness of God. When you are in the deepest pit, the enemy whispers lies. The enemy screams, "You are a failure." He tells you your faith is weak. But look at the biblical record. God does not strike Elijah with lightning for wanting to die. He doesn't send an angel to preach a harsh sermon about lacking faith. He sends an angel to bake him some bread. An angel touches his shoulder and says, "Arise and eat." God addresses the physical body first. Sleep, eat, drink water. Sometimes the absolute most spiritual thing you can do is take a long nap and eat a warm meal. God knows we are made of dust. He knows the complex chemistry of your brain and the weariness of your bones. Before God ever addresses Elijah's spiritual crisis, he restores his physical strength. He lets him sleep. He feeds him a second time. The bread and the water were preparation. Because the angel tells him the journey is too great for him. And the journey you are on, fighting this heavy, suffocating darkness, is too great for you to fight on empty. You can't outthink depression when your body and soul are running on fumes. God gave Elijah bread and water, and that meal fueled him for 40 days and 40 nights. He walks all the way to Mount Horeb, the mountain of God. He finds a cave and hides in the dark, and then the word of the Lord comes to him. God asks a simple question, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" God already knew the answer, but he wanted Elijah to say it. He wanted him to name the pain. Elijah unloads his heart again. He says he has been very zealous, but the people have broken the covenant. They killed the prophets, and now I alone am left, and they seek to take my life. He was convinced he was completely alone. Have you felt that? That suffocating lie that you are the only one fighting this battle. God tells him to go out and stand on the mountain. And what happens next is wild. A great and strong wind tears into the mountains and breaks the rocks in pieces. But the Lord was not in the wind. Then an earthquake shakes the very ground he stands on. But the Lord was not in the earthquake. Then a blinding fire rips across the ridge. But the Lord was not in the fire. Elijah knew the God of fire. He just called down fire from heaven a few days ago. He expected God to show up in a massive earth-shattering display of power to fix his depression instantly. We do this too. We beg God for a dramatic rescue. We want a lightning bolt of joy to strike our minds and instantly cure the pain. But after the fire came a still small voice, a gentle whisper. When Elijah heard that whisper, He wrapped his face in his mantle and walked out of the cave. The raw power of the wind and fire didn't draw him out. The gentleness of God did. God doesn't scream at you when you are depressed. He does not shout over your panic. When the world is spinning and your mind is screaming, God leans in close. He whispers. He speaks in the quiet moments, a subtle urging to keep going, a sudden unexplainable peace in your chest, a gentle reminder that you are deeply loved. You see, the enemy screams your failures, but the Father whispers your identity. God doesn't just whisper to comfort him. He whispers to reorient him. Because depression causes severe tunnel vision, it forces you to look only at your exhaustion and your hopeless future. But God's gentle voice breaks through that tunnel vision. He tells Elijah to go back the way he came. He gives him a new assignment. He tells him to anoint new kings and a new prophet named Elisha. God is saying, your story is not over. You still have a purpose. Your pain did not disqualify you from the plan I have for your life. God gives Elijah a job. He tells him to go anoint Elisha. Why? Because depression wants you trapped inside your own head. It wants you staring at your own pain until it becomes your entire universe. But God's cure for Elijah's mind was to give him a mission that served someone else. He tells him to go pour his life into the next generation. And then God drops the final truth that shatters Elijah's despair. Elijah kept crying out that he was the only one left. He truly believed the lie of absolute isolation. But God tells him, I have kept for myself 7,000 in Israel, whose knees have not bowed to Baal. 7,000. Elijah was never alone, not for a single second, and neither are you. You think you are the only one fighting this dark night of the soul. You think nobody in your church and nobody in your family could possibly understand the agonizing weight on your chest. But God is telling you right now, there is an army of believers who have walked through this exact same valley. There are 7,000 others. You just can't see them from inside your dark cave. This is why human tools, while profoundly helpful, sometimes hit a wall. Because they treat the mind and the body, but they cannot always reach the deepest spiritual lie of the enemy, the lie that you are completely abandoned. God's cure involves bringing you back into connection. He gave Elijah a young apprentice to walk with. He revealed a massive family of believers to stand with. We heal in the light. We heal when we step out of the isolation, wrap our face in the mantle of God's grace, and hear the gentle whisper of a father. A father who says your pain is real, but your purpose is not finished. Get up. The journey is not over. The story of Elijah proves that hitting rock bottom doesn't mean God has abandoned you. It means he is about to give you a new assignment. Therapy is a good tool. Medication is often necessary. But the ultimate cure for the crushing weight of depression is the gentle whisper of a father who meets you in the desert, feeds your soul, and tells you that you are not alone. So take the bread, drink the water, and step out of the cave. I want to ask you something. How have you heard the gentle whisper of God during your darkest moments? Tell me your story in the comments. And if this message brought you a little bit of light today, please subscribe to the channel. We'll keep walking through the Word together. Do not give up. The journey isn't over.